What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. So, I kind of wanted to make this video here for you just to kind of talk about this because it was kind of flustering in my head a little bit over the last few hours here. So, we have been seeing this offseason a lot of different things happening around this organization. First things first, we know that when the Colts lost to Jacksonville, Jim Irsay was very, very frustrated at how the season ended, right? And he has a right to be. I think everybody is pissed off about how the Colts season ended. It should not have ended the way that it did. But we are in this situation now because things just didn't happen. And so Irsay took it upon himself to talk to the head coach, Frank Reich, and the GM, Chris Ballard, and ask what is going to be done now to fix this? What is going to be done to where we don't have to be looked at as an embarrassment like this again? Right? So that's the first thing to happen, right? And then you have been seeing the Colts owner, Jim Irsay, mention several times throughout the offseason about some of the things that you need in the NFL in order to succeed, right? We've seen the playoffs. We saw these teams have amazing quarterbacks. We saw this team have a pass rush. We saw this team have weapons. Some of that the Colts do not have currently. And what has been happening now is now you have cryptic tweets and you have outside sources stating what is going on inside the Colts locker room and what's going on inside their building. So in a organization like Indianapolis, where up until this moment, anytime that there's been something that's been going on inside the building, nobody knows about it unless Chris Ballard or someone specifically says it, right? So the Colts have kept a very tight shift on how they let information get out. You know, you got talks of coaching hires, you got talks of coaching candidates, you got talks of, of QB changes, of other position changes. You have all these things that normally we would not see when it comes to this Colts organization who keeps everything internal. So the common denominator to explain why this continues to keep happening is the owner, Jim Irsay. And the ultimate question that I've been asking myself, and I think I know the answer for most of Colts Nation, but I'll just talk about it anyway. Is it a good thing that the Colts owner has taken a larger role in decision making or decision ideas? So first things first, Irsay is not taking full control over this team. That is not what he does. He's not a Jerry Jones, okay? He is allowing his GM to make the ultimate decisions. But I do believe that this offseason, my personal opinion, and I think everyone can agree, is that Irsay has took it upon himself to remind Ballard of some things that need to be done and that you can't wait. You can't hold off on certain things that need to be done. Like what we're hearing now, and it just came out this afternoon, is that Irsay is now pushing for the Colts to sign Russell Wilson. Now, whether that report is true or not, we're not 100% sure, but people are saying it's coming from Jim Irsay. So, again, that's almost something you would never have heard from before. You almost would have never heard things like that. You would have never seen Jim Irsay talking the way he has this offseason any other year other than this year. Now, going to the question of whether or not I think this is a good thing or a bad thing. Well, for one, let's just kind of mention the bad, just to kind of get that out of the way. Well, first off, I mean, when the owner is the one that's paying for everything at the end of the day, right? I mean, what the owner says you need to continue to do, that's your job. He employs you. He gets to control certain things because he's the one that's got the money, So at the end of the day, like I said before, I don't think that Jim Irsay is the kind of person that's going to make Chris Ballard a puppet, right? I just don't ever see that happening for Chris Ballard in this sense, because he's got too much respect for Chris Ballard and what he has done and what he continues to be able to do in getting us these guys, right? But I also think that the time has come for Irsay to remind Ballard that there are some things that the Colts need to continue to get better at. And right now we're struggling, and Cody has mentioned it several times over the last few weeks, that the Colts have been struggling at really bad times in the most important positions, like quarterback, pass rush, receivers, tight end, things of that nature, right? So the only way that I could see this being a bad thing is, the philosophy of Ballard when it comes to certain things is not always a bad solution. Okay. It's not always the worst thing in the world that what Ballard has done, building through the trenches, building through the draft. That definitely is something that needs to continue to happen. But yes, sometimes Ballard may be thoughtful of getting someone that Irsay wants, that Ballard doesn't see, and his scouts don't seem to think is the best solution for a certain position, right? I mean, Irsay has that power. And if Irsay thinks that it is time to push for a guy that Ballard does not believe is going to be the best solution for this team going forward, and they get it wrong, then it is on the owner, right? That's the only way I can really see this being a negative, is Irsay having the persuasion to convince Ballard of making a move that he doesn't want to make and he doesn't believe is the right move. It's the only way. Now, the only thing I would say is that when it comes to the good thing, it is a good thing because Ballard has, like Cody said many times, he has missed on some spots. And he has been very inactive in free agency a lot of times, right? Been very inactive, basically. I mean, he's made a couple of moves. Made a couple moves in 2020 that were good. Nothing blockbusterish except making a trade for DeForest Buckner, but that wasn't really a free agent move. It was just during the free agency period. But in 2021, we mentioned it several times, he was very, very inactive in the free agency market. And we thought that with some of the talent at defensive end, with some of the talent at receiver, you thought that there were a couple of different options that the Colts could have made. Well, it just didn't work out. And, it's one of those things that he needs to have that little talk in the side of his ear, reminding him that there are some times when Ballard needs to start pulling the plug and needs to start throwing some money out there to go and improve the positions that we want. And we can't just do it through the draft. It has to be done through free agency as well. It can't just be one way or the other, right? So overall, I think it's a good thing that Irsay is kind of just being more of a vocal leader in this whole thing. Again, he's not taking decision making away from Ballard, but I think it is important that Irsay has reminded him that I'm frustrated. I'm paying for this team. I want to start seeing better results because we just haven't been getting them over the last 5 years. I know that things haven't worked out well due to the fact we've had some very bad luck, but I just think that it is time that the Colts start making some bigger decisions, and I think Irsay is the guy to start doing that and helping. So I overall think it's a good thing that Irsay's doing this. Let me know what you all think in the comments about Irsay taking a bigger role in the decision making in the management building there when it comes to making business decisions for the Colts. Thank you guys again so much. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, go Colts.